Hey all you cool cats and kittens, welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report, the day for March the 31st of 2020. That's right, we finally made it. It's the end of March. That was the longest month of my life. I mean, really, it lasted like 3 million days. My lord, quarantine will do a number on you. But this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest gaming news you need to know from around the industry. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, on YouTube and podcast services around the world. So if you enjoyed the show, you like what you see, be sure to dive in and give it a subscription on YouTube, or you can add it to your podcast feed wherever you might get your podcast. It's on most every service. But today, Modern Warfare 2 has officially been released. That's right, the campaign has been rebuilt from the ground up for the modern generation of consoles, but if you're playing on Xbox One or PC, you are going to have to wait just a bit longer, and we'll talk about that as our headline story. On top of that, we'll talk about the Uncharted movie seeing yet another delay, Super Mario games getting a remaster, which we discussed yesterday, but we have an update that could change the game. Then on top of that, we're talking about Resident Evil, this year's Gamescom plans, the NBA getting into the eSports scene, and Turek, amongst other games, coming for free with your Twitch Prime. And that is something we are going to talk about today. On top of that, I need to add Xbox Live games with gold for April 2020 because Major Nelson announced that today. And so we will go ahead and dive into those. So I will add that to the end as well. But that is our lineup for today's show, and I hope you enjoy it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's lineup of gaming news. First off, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has been remastered and is out today, but it's only the single-player campaign. The enhanced version of Modern Warfare 2 only includes the single-player campaign. The remastered version adds high-definition visuals and audio improvements to the original story from 2009, according to a blog post by Activision. The game is out now digitally on PlayStation 4 for $19.99 and will be a timed exclusive up until April the 30th when it launches on PC and Xbox One, though pre-orders are not currently available at this time. PlayStation 4 owners who purchased the remastered Modern Warfare 2, which it should be noted is not a sequel to last year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, will also get in-game items in both the 2019 game and the Battle Royale spin-off Warzone, which launched earlier this month. Some items featured in the bundle include a new character skin as well as a couple of weapon blueprints which grant you access to stronger weapons without having to earn them through progression. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was originally released in November 2009 and is often regarded as one of the best games of that year, thanks in part to its strong single-player narrative as well as a robust multiplayer mode. The title also ignited controversy over its optional fourth mission, No Russian, which had players take part in a terrorist attack. After a remastered version of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was released in November 2016, many were speculating as to when its sequel would receive the same treatment. Microsoft made the original Modern Warfare 2 backwards compatible on Xbox One in late 2018, but Activision did not announce the game would be remastered before today. And that is a true factual statement. They held out as long as they possibly could to announce that this was going to be coming. I mean, we had the entire game released on the German PlayStation Store before they even announced that it was legitimately a thing. There was a full playthrough up on YouTube before the announcement even came out. That's what blew my mind. But the real story here is the fact that it is going to be locked to the PlayStation 4 in a timed exclusivity deal until April the 30th, which then it will come to Xbox One and PC. That's kind of a bummer. Now, of course, this is just another game that is a victim of the timed exclusivity agreement between the two companies, and it has been, of course, impacting Call of Duty for a while, but you also see it impacting stuff like Crash Bandicoot and Crash Team Racing. There are some exclusivity agreements there that have impacted the performance of both timed content as well as exclusive content across consoles. But with all that being said, Modern Warfare 2 is a phenomenal game. Back whenever this game was prepping for a launch, I remember counting down until it was coming out. I literally sat at my lunch table whenever I was in, I think, 8th grade, and every day I'd be like, hey, guess what? 137 more days until Modern Warfare 2 comes out. Next day, 136. Following day, 135. I was hyped for this game, and I put hundreds of hours into it. I think this is one of the few Call of Duty games that I nearly got the Platinum Trophy for. It was so close, yet so far away. I believe that I was missing 1 or 2 trophies, but I fell in love with this entire game, and really, it's one that does stick with me. I'm a big fan of this one, and I do want to get that Ghost skin for multiplayer in Modern Warfare. That's a big thing that I want. So will I be diving into this? Perhaps. I think I might pick it up on the PlayStation because, quite honestly, we're in the middle of a quarantine. What better time to dive back into the world of Modern Warfare 2? And that's why it's very wise that they release it now, because for $20 to get access to a nostalgia-packed and nostalgia-driven experience that you grew up on, heck yeah, so many people are going to be down for that, that it is going to sell like hotcakes. And somebody tweeted earlier, and this is another thing that I wanted to point out, Call of Duty had been on a decline for a couple of years, but really this is the most popular and the most successful the franchise has ever been. Modern Warfare, last year's game, is doing very, very well. You have Warzone dominating the world of Battle Royale. It's one of the top streamed games on Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, whatever you might be watching. And on top of that, we also have Treyarch's game coming out this year, which is generating some excitement, rumored to be a Black Ops remaster, sort of like we have with Modern Warfare, where it is the same style of story, it is the same set of characters, but it is something new and fresh. I shouldn't say remaster, I should say rebirth or reimagining, something along those lines for Black Ops. I've got a full episode talking about this that we put out a couple of weeks back. But then you have this all of a sudden, Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered, just out of the blue. They're really dominating right now, and I did not think this would be released until later on in the summer. So if you want to dive in, pick up those trophies or achievements, you can pick up Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, out now on the PlayStation 4 and coming on April the 30th on the Xbox One as well as to PC. But moving on to the next topic of the day, Uncharted's movie has been pushed back yet again to October 2021. This comes after filming scheduled to take place this month was canceled, instead taking place in 4 weeks' time. Due to the current climate, we can't see that taking place in April either, the guys at Push Square say. The movie featuring Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, and Antonio Banderas is not the only upcoming flick to be pushed back. However, Ghostbusters Afterlife and Morbius will now hit cinemas in March 2021, and Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway should arrive 2 months before them. That is, if the world manages to return to normality by then, of course. So here we have it, finally. The Uncharted movie has been delayed yet again, and quite frankly, I can't believe it took this long. And I think that this is kind of a cop-out in a way, because the coronavirus is not the reason that the Uncharted movie is being delayed. Oh no, this was slated for release in March of 2021, and shooting was set to begin later this month, in April of 2020. That's less than a year's time to get the actors to shoot their shots, then on top of that, the editing team to do their work, and the distribution team to actually get this thing out there. And that's not even counting promotion. There was a lot going on behind the scenes, and I really don't think this was ever going to work out in the way that they had hoped that it would. But with that being said, I think that October 8th, 2021 is a much more realistic time frame. I think that's something that is possible. And so I think that's probably when you are going to be actually seeing this movie released. Again, I want to go ahead and present the question. Does anybody really want this? Show of hands. Looks like nobody. That's just my 2 cents. It could be good, but we're talking about this being an origin story. Isn't that what Uncharted The Lost Legacy, Uncharted Golden Abyss was supposed to be on the PlayStation Vita? The Lost Legacy was the spin-off on the PlayStation 4. But that's all beside the point. First off, if you haven't played Golden Abyss, highly recommend. But the Uncharted movie is going to be coming out now in October of 2021. Now let's follow up yesterday's topic, which is that tons of Mario games are going to be coming out on the Nintendo Switch as remasters in 2020, according to some rumors, but they will reportedly release in one package on the Switch. Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy are said to be launching in one bundle for the Switch later in 2020. Yesterday, reports began swirling that Nintendo was looking to bring back some of Super Mario's most popular 3D adventures in the form of new remasters that would arrive on the Switch later this year. At the time, news on just which installments would be coming to Switch was not made explicitly clear, and the way each installment would land on Switch was also not given. Now that info has seemingly changed. In a follow-up report once again coming from VGC, it was said that Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy are indeed 3 of the games that are planned to be fully remastered for Switch and released later in 2020. Furthermore, the same report also says that one source has informed the publication that all 3 titles will be released in a single package. Essentially, this special anniversary edition would include 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy at one price, rather than having to purchase each game in a piecemeal fashion. If this report turns out to indeed be true, this sounds like an incredible value proposition. To include 3 beloved 3D Mario games from the past in one package would assumedly, of course, be $60. That's a steal that I imagine many Switch owners would jump on immediately. My only issue, the author says, is that from what has been reported, Super Mario Galaxy 2 might be left out in the cold. While this could turn out not to be the case, SMG2 being the only notable 3D Mario venture to not arrive on Switch would be a bummer, and personally I'm not holding out hype that Super Mario Galaxy Remastered's iteration that is said to be arriving would be a collection of both Wii titles in one. No current sources have indicated that is the case, but I'll keep crossing my fingers all the same. Wow, this is nuts. Okay, so first and foremost, this headline here, that's very exciting because for $60 you essentially get access to 3 of the best Super Mario games ever created. 64, of course, is an iconic classic, Sunshine is phenomenal, and Galaxy is probably one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time. And they all fit very well on the Switch. Now, I would love to see Super Mario Galaxy 2. That's one that I actually never got around to playing, but it was just building on the foundation that Super Mario Galaxy laid down. So we'll see what happens later in 2020. Of course, as we discussed on yesterday's episode in depth, 2020 marks the 35th anniversary of the plumber being Nintendo's frontman, and so they are celebrating by remastering a lot of the biggest Super Mario games. A very exciting time to be a Nintendo Switch fan, and of course, what better time to release tons of Mario games than a quarantine/pandemic where everybody's playing video games. And that's the idea behind Capcom right now, because Resident Evil 8 is coming next year. I try to do the smooth transition. The remasters are the next story. But Resident Evil 8 is coming next year and is going to be a massive departure for the series, according to some rumors. The next Resident Evil game will reportedly be a major shift in design. While Capcom is getting ready to release Resident Evil 3, the developer has reportedly been working on the next mainline Resident Evil game behind the scenes. According to noted leaker Dusk Golem, the project has been in development for over 3 years and is planned for release in 2021. In fact, Capcom is seemingly gearing up for official announcement soon. As for what it is, Dusk Golem says it will be, quote, by far the biggest departure the series has ever taken, to the point that they anticipate the shift to upset existing fans. Golem likens the game's development to that of the original Resident Evil 3, but does not elaborate on what that means. This is not the first we have heard that Resident Evil 8 has been in development for a while. In fact, Golem previously said that some of the earlier rumors, which suggest a return to first person and a setting completely different from most Resident Evil games, are not entirely accurate. It's best to take all of that with a grain of salt for now until official information has been released, but if Capcom is indeed close to revealing it, we may not have to wait long to learn more. And of course, for now, you can dive into Resident Evil 3, but this sounds exciting for me, quite frankly, because I like where things begin to get flipped on their head. I enjoy that kind of approach, because if you look at what happened with Resident Evil 7, that was nothing that anybody had thought Resident Evil would do. That was completely and totally different than anything that we had seen before. Of course, 7 is coming hot off the heels of Resident Evil 6, which was just a shit show. Nobody really enjoyed that one. And then you had other weird things like Operation Raccoon City, that came out on the PlayStation 3, and a couple of strange iterations here and there. But really, I think that Resident Evil is kind of coming into its own. I think that you are beginning to get off track whenever you see the new Resident Evil Resistance that's coming out this week alongside Resident Evil 3. And of course, RE3's remake has not gotten the same reception that last year's RE2 remake got either. But it is worth noting that a departure from the series could be good, and it could be something that provides a lot of freedom to experiment and freedom to kind of try new things with the world and with the franchise. So I'm excited about that, but if you're a fan of the old school classic Capcom games, they've got another remake in the works, and it's not Dino Crisis or Code Veronica X. The Resident Evil 3 remake is a rather disappointing follow-up to last year's RE2, but it does not look like this train is stopping anytime soon. According to a new set of rumors doing the rounds today from reliable sources, Capcom has yet another remake in development right now. Helmed by RE3 support studio, the developer is supposedly leading a project targeting a release in 2022. Video Games Chronicle initially reported the news, stating, quote, it is currently working as the primary developer on a larger remake project for Capcom. Industry insider Aesthetic Gamer, who has a somewhat positive and reliable track record, expanded on the claim by saying the game is planned for 2022 and is not a remake of either Dino Crisis or Resident Evil Code Veronica X. Given the year stated, we could also expect this to be a PlayStation 5 game. So what could it be? Resident Evil 4 could be a good shout, but considering the stature the title holds, the Japanese developer is going to need to put a lot more work in to avoid another RE3 situation. At the same time, Capcom has other franchises it could call upon for a remake of the classic, but what do you hope the project is, they ask at Push Square. Personally, I don't know if I would like to see Resident Evil 4. I suppose I could imagine that, but if we're going chronologically, that kind of makes sense. Do we need that? I don't necessarily think that we do. But one thing that I think we could definitely benefit from is seeing another remake of the original Resident Evil, the one that started it all. Now, that game did see a remake, but not in the same engine and the same aesthetic and the same mindset as you see with the most recent remakes. But I want Capcom to continue their upward momentum. I want Capcom to continue improving themselves. And right now, as it stands, I think that continuing to pump out time and time again remakes of classic games is cool if it's done correctly. It's kind of like how cake is delicious, but I don't want cake for every meal. I just need a little piece every now and then. So if I had Resident Evil 2's remake in 2019, I could have very well waited until 2021 or 2022 and seen RE3's remake. Of course, I'm not a marketer in the video game space, so I don't really know what the thought process was behind that. But I do know that we are going to be getting something from Capcom in the remake sense in the future, because it would be mind-boggling of them not to. Really, the success of RE2 and RE3 even is something that is staggering, to say the least. And so I think that really they are going to have to pursue that, just because if they don't, it's just leaving money on the table. But we could know more at Gamescom. Of course, Gamescom 2020 is supposed to be coming this August, but now they have changed their plans, saying they're prepping to host, quote, at least a digital event in August. Gamescom 2020 organizers have updated plans for the annual event, stating digital formats will go on as planned, and an evaluation will take place this spring to see if the show can go on as planned on site. The annual Gamescom show will not take place for 5 months, but some of the planned measures have been outlined in light of the corona crisis. According to organizers, the existing digital options such as Gamescom, Opening Night Live, and other streams will be significantly expanded as new modules added. This means Gamescom will definitely take place, at least in a digital format, August 25th through the 29th, and will not be postponed. Organizers will make an evaluation mid-May as to how Gamescom can also take place on site in Cologne based on the latest developments of the COVID-19 pandemic at that time. They said if an on-site event is possible, more information will be made at that time. So those who plan to attend the show will receive a refund for already paid tickets, and exhibitors will be reimbursed in full for payments made if Gamescom cannot take place on location in Cologne. So as it stands, this is interesting. Now, this news comes on the same day as GCX has been delayed, postponed. It is changing its approach. And of course, GCX, I believe that's what the official title of it now is. It used to be Guardian Con, now it's GCX. But it's a pretty large event in Florida, and they have transitioned into a digital space as well. And first and foremost, I think that if you did host a digital event and you repurposed a physical event and made it focused on digital approaches, it can be just as effective for your marketing purposes. I've seen E3 showcases that are held online that make me feel like I'm there, and from what I've heard, you can actually get more work done online and find more information about what they are discussing at home as compared to being at the show itself. So that's very interesting. But Gamescom 2020 is set to host at least a digital event. Of course, I hope that everything is wrapping up by May. I hope that the coronavirus pandemic continues to decrease in severity and in urgency. But right now, I don't see that happening, and I think it's wise to prepare for the worst and hope for the best in every situation possible. Speaking of preparing because of the coronavirus, NBA is reportedly planning a players-only 2K tournament that will air on ESPN. The 16-player tournament would last 10 days. The NBA has an official eSports league with various teams represented, but with live basketball season on hiatus due to the coronavirus pandemic, it's reportedly about to put real NBA players on the sticks. Yahoo Sports reporter Chris Haynes cites league sources indicating that a 16-player NBA 2K tournament lasting 10 days will begin on Friday, with ESPN set to broadcast it. With sports pretty much shut down around the world, networks are desperate for live content, and athletes have nothing to do. So far, NASCAR has made the most noticeable shift to esports with races that it airs on Fox, and now the NBA is apparently ready to follow. Fox also aired a Madden tournament this past weekend and can likely shift scheduled events around to do even more. Ever since the NBA season was put on hold and the NBA 2K League postponed its activities, teams like the Suns have been live streaming some games already. But bringing in league stars could put an even bigger spotlight on video game basketball as a spectator sport. According to Haynes, DeMarcus Cousins, who missed almost all of the last 2 seasons due to injuries, is scheduled to participate, but there is no word on who else may be in, even with a league full of known gamers who occasionally hop on live stream. Players like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Paul George, I like that one, I got that one, LeBron James and Anthony Davis have been on the 2K cover in recent years, but now we might find out who can actually play at a high level. So, this is interesting to me because right now we are going to see what esports work and what esports fail. We're going to see what is accepted by the general sports public and what is outcast from the general sports public. Because with iRacing and NASCAR, the game looks so real and the physics are so realistic that in reality, it's not too far off from the real thing, especially if you minimize crashes. So the excitement can still be there. But NBA, it's not quite the same because you don't have individual players on each individual position. You have one guy controlling an entire team of people. It's still cool, but it's not basketball. I think that's really what it comes down to. So I can't wait to compare the proportions of fans that watch the NBA digital stuff, the NBA esports stuff, as compared to the real world NBA physical games. I want to compare those numbers and then in proportion compare those to the NASCAR fans that watch iRacing and the football fans that are watching Madden players play. I think that would be very interesting to kind of see how all of that lines up. But regardless, NBA diving into the esports world this Friday, according to insider sources. But maybe you want to play some free games this weekend. Boy, have I got you hooked up. Turk and 4 other games are free with Twitch Prime in April. If you are a Twitch Prime member, you automatically are. If Amazon Prime is your cup of tea, you can download 5 free titles in April. The free games are the aforementioned Turk, puzzle platformer Etherborn, first-person puzzle game Light Matter, and RPG Earthlock, as well as point-and-click adventure title Kathy Rain. There's some new free loot coming in April as well, and there are plenty of drops available now. Here's what's now available through Twitch Prime or coming in April. There's the whole list. I'm not reading all of that. There's tons of stuff if you want to play Ring of Elysium, Raid Shadow Legends. I'm sure you've heard about that from cheap ads on YouTube. Mobile Legends, another cheap... Oh man, is Twitch whoring out? Oh no. Oh no, we've got Black Desert Mobile and Mobile Legends and Mafia City. Oh no, Twitch Prime, what are you doing? Don't do that. I thought World of Tanks was already bad enough, but you're really going low. Oh God. Anyways, you can get 5 free games in April, which of course the headline there is Turk by any means. And even that is better than the Xbox Games with Gold lineup because these are overwhelmingly garbage. But they have some racing to do next month on the Xbox One. Xbox Live Gold subscribers and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members will get 4 free games in April as part of the Xbox Games with Gold program. Next month's games will roll out on April 1st with Project Cars 2 for the Xbox One and Fable Anniversary for the Xbox 360 and Xbox One available now. Coming later are Knights of Pen and Paper and Knights of Pen and Paper 2 for Xbox One and Toy Box Turbos for Xbox 360 and Xbox One, valued at, of course, $22.49. For Knights of Pen and Paper and $9.99 for Toy Box Turbos, respectively. Regardless, you know what I'm saying there. The, of course, standout for this month out of all of these, in my opinion, is Fable Anniversary. I think that one is really going to be the one that drives people to pick up the freebies for the month. Of course, these games are free if you have Xbox Live Games with Gold, so add them to your library, even if you have already played them or if you don't plan on playing them. You never know how long we're going to be in this quarantine. Now, the PlayStation Plus games for April are also announced, and you can also pick those if you would like. to dive in. Now, these are going to be Uncharted 4: Thief's End, of course, as one of them, and Dirt Rally 2.0 is going to be the April games with our April PlayStation Plus game. So if you want to dive in, of course, that announcement has not been made, but you can, in fact, go ahead and plan on those being the big deal. As a matter of fact, it looks like that's already announced. I'm sorry. So if you want to dive in, Uncharted 4 and Dirt Rally 2.0, phenomenal games, much better than the games with gold offering. But I'm rambling. You've got stuff to do. Thanks for listening to today's show or watching the program. If you enjoyed it, be sure to drop in and give me a like on the YouTube video, or perhaps subscribe on a podcast service of your choosing. I would love to see you out there on the feed. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. I'll talk to you soon, and hey, welcome to April. We finally made it.